that's what she just did.
Okay, so everybody looked at the meeting minutes, questions?
We do have a discrepancy in the minutes, I
Yeah.
believe, my wife brought up about the agenda getting put out ahead of time, so I just wanna make sure that was noted in the meeting last time. It was discussed.
Oh, okay. Do you have the meeting minutes that I could see? I'm sorry, I don't have a copy.
Oh, that's other
Thank you. So, we're looking at, again, I appreciate you bringing that. What point in the meeting was that? We got secretary's report, treasurer's, was that part of,
I had to go back and relook the tape, I believe it was towards the middle end.
It may have been under new business.
I think
Okay.
maybe new business.
I think
Okay,
so.
that's
yeah.
a good thought.
So, you wanna add, would you wanna make a motion to add that content to the minutes?
Yes.
So I think I would, do you have a pencil? Thanks. So, we have a motion to, add to the minutes. A request was made by
Was Erica?
Erica.
Erica's,
Erica to post the minutes.
to, no, the agenda, they want the
Oh,
agenda ahead
post
of
the
time.
agenda prior to meeting. So, we had a motion to add to the secretary's minutes, to add that, the agenda be posted prior to the meeting, and that was made by Erica Seitz. All in favor of adding that addition to the secretary minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we'll add that to the agenda, we'll add that to your secretary's report, and that's it. So I wrote down what that should be. So at the next meeting, what I would suggest you do is you print up a new copy with that addition that we just decided on. And I would give these notes along with the secretary notes from last time. And then these notes right here will be posted on the website. So you will have your minutes, and again, I apologize for interrupting. I think that's a really important thing to make. So you kind of see how that
Yeah,
works.
thank you.
Okay, for sure.
Alright, so that was all in favor, so we can move to the principal's report.
Sure. So I know that last meeting we had talked about kind of wanting to know specifically what the money went to for our school. So again, I just created a little slideshow so that everybody can see how our PTO supports our students, teachers, and our staff. So the check that was given to us for the 23-24 school year, I did lay out everything specifically that we have purchased, including Scholastic magazines, all of our March's Reading Month celebrations and supplies, specific sight word holders that we had. We originally had budgeted, Mrs. Sanders and I, we had budgeted about 1,000 for books. We ended up going over a little bit because we included some really high interest books for kids. Obviously, we had talked about the Scholastic magazine, which goes to all of our 1st through 6th graders. And then there was $37.75 that was transferred over. We do also include the Christmas coffee bar that we had split with PTO last year for our Christmas. And then we had also done our teacher appreciation lunch. And all of the receipts are in a binder that Ms. Molka can have so that she can give them to the CPA if he needs them. This is the new check that was just given to us. So we have Doug Shear coming on the half day coming up. We were able to supply sensory bins for a classroom. There was a new teacher. Again, I did not know that a new check was being given to her, so I did help her create some classroom culture and environment for her classroom. So that was the 128. We have a new Scholastic magazine that we had put on order. We just put through our order for March's Reading Month supplies for this year, and then 5th grade had gone on a field trip within the district, so they had a little bit extra transportation funds that needed to be covered, so that is what I covered. And then as we continue to move forward, we will add to this, and I just will take out the things that were already spent, minus the 6,000, so that way you know what's being spent. And one other fun thing that's coming to us, we had wanted to purchase this my first year. We had major flooding issues in Mrs. Hammer's classroom, so the district had to come and remove all of the wood chips, kind of dig underneath the cement, refix it. It was just finished last month, so they're coming over to take a look and look at some measurements, but this is going to be added to our Young 5 CCRR kindergarten playground.
Jen, thank you, and I was gonna we talked about her presentation. I also wanted to share just a little bit of, background on the way the district does finances, because obviously she put that into an Excel report for you, but all of this, information is, you can FOIA anything in these days, so that's where you can say to the district, I want, to see the transportation bills, whatever that may be. So as a district, we often get donations, so I want you to understand that you wrote a check, $7,000, you give it to Jen, puts it in her, we have what we call internal accounts at the elementary, and in addition to the way she has shown that to you, we have a whole internal account process that when that check goes in, all of the things she described goes into our AS400. So all of that work that she did to make those purchases has to go through our purchasing process. So it isn't Jen just going and writing a check. We have purchase cards. So Jen would be saying something like, okay, one of them was the Scholastic books. So that $6,000 becomes we do an withdrawal from our journal entry. So that's where those checks and balances come into play. So there's really two checks and balances in addition to you having a conversation about, some of those items you're buying. The district is also monitoring how that money goes back out. So I can run a journal request on all of the items that were tagged from the donation that was made by the district. So you've got two kind of sides to your house as a PTO, and I think that's really important to understand. You have the money that you obviously donated to the school for the items that Mrs. Kelly just shared with you, but then you have your purchases that you might just do in general for like the daddy-daughter dance or whatever it might be. So when you're looking at those reports, you've got to remember there are kind of two sides or two parts, after you make the donation on where things are going, and then the decisions you're making as a PTO to do things, right in the here and now. So again, that's important to have some clarity on, because when you make a decision to make a donation of like $7,000 to Mrs. Kelly, at the beginning of the year, you may not know until she may spend something at the Harvest Fest the Winter Fest in January. So it's important that you're constantly looking at your budget to kind of see how that money is being, allocated. So you're gonna make some decisions in September about, okay, we predict our budget to be this way, but stuff happens. That's why you do an amended budget later on in the year, and then you do a final budget once you're done with the year, because life happens. You don't wanna see insane discrepancies, but what Mrs. Kelly and I wanna make sure you understand is that, a budget fluctuates, and that's okay. You can't make your treasurer, it's not, every single, things change a little bit, things cost more, things cost less. So again, that report she gave you is also cross-checked with the district and with our business office.
Anything else for the principal report?
No, that's all I have.
That's it? All right, thank you. And then next, we have our teacher trustee report.
So we were kind of thinking for the staff appreciation week, which is in May, and we were kind of thinking if we want to keep it the same, where we usually have a theme, and every day the teachers get a small gift, and at the end of the week they get some kind of gift card. We were thinking, is there anything else we could do in terms of maybe doing some fixings in the teachers' lounge, or if they want something new? Maybe we're thinking, do they want an ice machine? Do they want a new microwave? So I sent out a questionnaire to our staff, all staff, not just teachers, the entire staff at Jared Eisenhower, simply asking, do they want to keep it the same, or do they have anything that they would like to maybe see an improvement or an additive into our building or the teachers lounge? I think I gave them I asked for responses in 2 weeks. So I should at the next meeting have the responses to those questionnaires that I can share out and kind of start looking at what that appreciation might look like for this year. And that's all I have.
All right, old business.
So actually, technically for our old business, at the last meeting, I, did a motion and it was never seconded. So I would like to go back to that motion And at this time, I would like to make a motion, for fun run expenses. Will you second that? Okay, so we have a second, so, although the check has already been written, but it was a $6,000 check, which Ms. Kelly just went over, for the fun run. $6,000 from the fun run went towards the school. So are we all in favor of the $6,000 check? Do we have ayes?
Ayes.
And do we have any nays? All right, perfect. So we will just note that that has officially been proposed, rather than it was just kind of lingering out there.
Thank you for taking care of that. All right, and for our new business, we're gonna start, we had a dad, he reached out to us if he wanted to be added to the agenda, so we'd like to welcome Mr. Zeus.
Oh, alright.
Do you need the board?
No, I think I'd be fine up here. Let's- I'm gonna use this podium though. Alright, evening everyone. I haven't had a chance to be here. Fortunately, my kids have hockey tonight, so that's why my wife is not here, so I'm here finally. I know there's just, I basically am here to discuss some of the finances and discrepancies, that I have observed over in the communication and transparency as far as what goes on. I'm not here to, witch hunt on anyone, anything like that, or criticize anyone for what they've done, but I think we just need to tighten up, as we discussed in the executive board meeting earlier, that we just need to tighten up some things, especially with our bylaws being a little loose here and there. I think this is a way we can start to talk about that and address some of the issues. And I wanna emphasize that my point of being here and talking is to protect the organization. I think the value that we bring to this, the school and the parents and staff here is that we're a 501c3 organization, and that's very powerful because, we don't get taxed, on our income. The donors that give us money, they can deduct that on their taxes. So there's a lot of benefit here to what we do, and that's something that we really need to protect, and we do that through transparency and accountability. If you guys don't know, I think this organization has been around for almost 25 years as a 501c3. So there's been a lot of good work done through it, a lot of benefit given to the community, and let's keep that going. Ultimately, the members, the board, the staff, and everyone else that's involved, we have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the money and ensure that it's appropriately used. And that's through transparency and accountability, and that's what I'm gonna harp on tonight. A couple examples of where we've fallen through the cracks that I kind of observed is I've asked to look through some of the finances and some of the record keeping that's been done. We had, no paper trail has been done, so we needed to improve our paper trail. We had $1,000 that was donated to the senior party. It was made out to a private individual instead of a bank account of the business or the organization. So that's something that, perception looking in, it looks like, where's that money going? We need to make sure we keep the perception that everything's done right. It took some time to get some paperwork found. We finally found it, and yes, it was used appropriately. But I think, we wanna make sure we curb some of these initial reactions of, hey, there's inappropriate actions happening. We had instances of where a private individual was utilizing PTO funds to buy, I'll say here, membership at Sam's Club. Those private funds were used to buy it. The next year, that same charge card was used to purchase Sam's Club under that private individual's name. I believe it's been rectified, and the money.
Well,
The member that you're speaking of, she stated she was going to provide us with a check on either Monday or Tuesday. She has not provided us with that check yet. She did tell Chastity
She said-
today that she plans on
She'll be here tomorrow. She
being
said
here
she'll-
tomorrow, so we do plan on getting, it was $110 business membership that, somehow it kind of got tagged onto her personal auto renewal.
Her card
Um,
expired, so the next card, so she was on the board, she did make purchases with the debit card because she ran some of the events. And it went, so she sent a picture of it, a card was expired, it went to the next card on file, you could see it was the PTO debit card, and she had no idea that it was, that's what she says, but she said she did give her word, she's going to just give us the $110 so we can hopefully, and I was the treasurer at that time, I just thought the PTO had a Sam's Club, cause I'm on my church board too, so I use my church Sam's Club, and I just assumed the PTO had one, but I'm glad we figured that out.
And it was
Thank you.
it was an interesting process because it wasn't a PTO membership. When I went to Sam's Club, I couldn't get the 100% money back guarantee because it was underneath her private name. So basically Sam's Club said, you can file a police report, which I was like, ooh, that kind of seems a little extreme. So then we reached out to her, kind of explained to her, like, she was unaware of the situation. But as he stated, I mean, that happened last year in March and it kind of just slipped through the cracks because, I'll bring it up later, you know, I think we need an audit committee and I would love somebody to look after my books for me because I wanna make sure that the membership's money is going towards what they want it for.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's just these little things that it gives perception that, hey, there's something else going on. I think, you know, again, this helps drive the point of we need to increase our transparency, accountability, and also, you know, improve our bylaws. Some other things, again, with record keeping, you know, I think, as discussed last time, the fund run money was getting split in half. Again, there was no decision made at a meeting to, you know, authorize that, and we had checks trying to be cut. And also, they were trying to push that money as an expense. If you look at our tax return here, it currently shows, you know, we're roughly $40,000 of $60,000 is going towards expenses. So that's something that we need to also tighten up is, hey, where's our money going? And we need to be accountable for it through some kind of process. And I have some solutions here too to try to offer up. Again, just some nitty gritty as far as our 501c3, you know, IRS has put out, hey, there's 6 ways that you could lose your status. You know, one of the big ones is movement of money to another person for gain. And we don't want to give that impression that we're doing that. I would advocate that everything that is an expense for this PTO needs to come through the PTO and not just a generic check. I know it's nice and easy to send money to the school. I think it works, you know, it sounds like it's working out for now. But I think, you know, for us to have more transparency and accountability, I think we need to budget every item that we anticipate the school needing, and then we cut checks as needed based upon that budget. And I think that'll help also address another concept is pass-through funding, in which which PTO is taking in money, and then that money is being redirected to another organization. That's going to get, you know, that could look frowned upon of us, you know, taking in money and not, we never disclosed to everyone during the fund run that money was going to go to the school, and so now we have a pass-through funding issue in which we're now taking funds and giving it to another organization, which we don't know what's going to happen to that. You know, again, we trust that everything's up and up. However, you know, we do want to make sure we're accountable for that money because the IRS could come after us and be like, hey, what's going on? We got to be accountable. I think this is just an internal control we can use here to help address that. So one of the things I would like to, bring forward is that, I know we talked about the website, things like that. I don't know how hard it is for us to get updates to that website, but if it, you know, I haven't dealt with it, I haven't heard anything. I know it is a little, you know, I don't know if it's tough or not, but I would recommend we maybe have our own independent website. We can get a free option, you know, Google Sites. I actually, you know, as a proof of concept, I actually made one up. You know, you can take a look at it, but it works. We can put up there our budget, our agendas, and everything else, and parents can go to it. We can update it on the fly. We don't need to wait for someone to do it. We don't need to burden the school. And that's the biggest thing I want to get away from is also to create us as a sovereign entity away from the school. We operate independently, we work collaboratively with the school, but, you know, we need to have maybe have a website of our own to separate us out, and define us a little bit more as a PTO, because, you know, I came here last year and I had no clue what PTO was. I figured it was just a thing in the school. You know, you go to the school website, that's where you can find some information. So perhaps, you know, having a website of our own, and then also then having, you know, another form of communication, which is email. Maybe our own email list, which you can set up like MailChimp, and people subscribe and it gets sent out. So you don't have to go to, you know, the school and say, hey, can you send this more? There's just one last thing we can take off of them. You know, there's plenty of volunteers here. Someone can take that up and run the email list without having to go to the school all the time. So.
You could jump in about your point. You make a really good point. The district has a web page, which lists the officers, and you can hyperlink your site to that page. So for instance, some schools do that already. So if you had a site, then you could say, okay, we usually and looking at this, we need to make sure that everything is, you know, like the officers and those things are on the page right now. I would, make sure though that as a board and as the group, you do a vote on whatever your site's gonna be and vote on that. And then you can, again, work collaboratively with our webmaster to make sure how, you know, that's gonna work. Because I think it's really important that you think about the difference between, a website that you're gonna be posting agendas, meeting minutes, and your finances. That is a very static site. You're gonna also have social media, which is different. And I just think that's a point that you wanna make sure you're keeping those two things separate.
No, I totally agree. And so, you know, again, I think, I'm here for transparency and accountability. I think that this goes a long way by having a website independent and that we can operate. I would advocate for it to be for us to take steps now, and go forward getting that created and getting that done, just so we can get people on board and get participation, you know, and get those parents, you know, get people to come in here. As a parent from last year, you know, you don't really know a lot going on. I think there's some way we can get ahead of the ball and get ready for back to school night coming up in August. Get something set up.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yep.
Now, if we wanted to vote on that, just 'cause this is all new to me, like I came from, there was like maybe 2 parents coming to a meeting, it was just, so I wanna do better, so I love this. But would we have had to amend the agenda when we talked about that to make a vote? Let's say we wanted to make a webpage, should that have been done at the beginning?
Yeah, but you also have, a committee,
Okay,
right?
yes.
And I believe right now you're a committee of 1.
Yes.
So I would suggest
We
is,
shouldn't have.
Which we
it.
could make a motion right now if we wanted to do
Yes.
it. That's all in our prerogative.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
to
if it
do
had
that.
to be
no, but
amended.
I'm saying you have a vehicle right now
Yeah.
where you could make that work. And I think it would be a good idea for you to build out a committee with you and anybody else, maybe other people that could be on it. And then you come up with a plan, you bring that plan to the board with the site, with, you know, the 2 things we talked about. Because I think you agree, you wanna have something very professional, which has meeting minutes and things like that, and then you also wanna have your social media. So I think having those 2 things kind of defined would be great, and having a committee kind of work through that, and then doing a presentation to this group saying, here's where we're gonna post our minutes and all the things you talked about, and then they vote on it.
I have a question. What about for like volunteering for the things coming up? Would you
And
put that on
that's
that
the other
website
thing.
as well?
Yeah, and so.
Because that kind of got lost throughout.
Yeah,
the
and
couple
again,
years.
I have if you guys wanna, I did a proof of concept here. If you guys wanna take a quick scan, just to see what something might look like.
Well, thank you.
This is an idea that we could incorporate, at least get the ball rolling, as far as what something could look like. So I threw it together just to say, hey, this is possible, we can do it, and if we can all, you know, if we can make a motion and agree upon it,
Just
yeah.
put your
Look
phone
on that
over it, the
yellow-
camera.
yeah, just put your phone over it, it'll.
Put
the camera over it.
So
Oh, we got a Google
I
Air
did have
message.
a point.
Of course.
Right now, we do have a Facebook page.
There should be is there a Bitly link
Which
on the
is-
bottom?
It was.
Mine.
Yes,
it was, and that's what I said.
It gives me an error.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, it may, you know, maybe something got tweaked. There was a Bitly, it was freaking
Oh,
earlier.
hers were.
No.
No?
No,
Did you already post something
I have.
on there?
no.
I clicked on that link and it was like
We'll just fix it later, it's fine.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, there is one. I think if you go bit.ly/EEOPTO. Yeah, bit.ly
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
and then /EEPTO.
So I know we currently have a Facebook page right now. The page is more of a public thing. I did do some research and I agree with the whole webpage thing about getting involved with the webpage, but also creating an actual group on Facebook that's more private. That way we have questions that people have to answer to get into the group, like what their name is and who their
Who's their
teacher's name
teacher.
is, so we can invite them in the group.
Well, cause I think even for the protection of our
Yes.
kids, you know, again, when we think of parents who are divorced or something, I mean, and if we're posting pictures or,
Yes.
that's a lot of personal
That is-
information to have out on, just because it is a
One and
public
parents
page.
can also post in the group also.
Yeah, because I know we had talked about kind of incorporating more pictures, but we didn't want to put them
We
out
would be in
there.
public,
So I figured adding an actual group for Facebook, it will link to the page, and also having the actual website would be a good idea.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, when it comes down to reaching people, we need basically 3 forms of communication. One of them is Facebook, one of them would be paper handouts, which we do through the school already, and the second one would maybe be email. I think everyone has email, students are all here, they all get a handout, and then Facebook, I think everyone has most everyone has a Facebook. That kind of catches everyone. So I think if we address those 3 areas, I think we've satisfied as far as our communication goes. And then through the website, that just adds, if people want to get in the weeds and know more about what's going on, they can go there, and that's just our catch-all of anything administrative. You'll know what's happening and sign up for stuff.
I would suggest maybe even doing like a remind. I just know that a lot of times when we try to contact parents, when it comes up as a text message, that's also another good way to kind of say, you know, a blast, there's a PTO meeting tonight, and again, it just comes up as a text.
Can we
So
get a
that-
remind? How do we go about getting?
It's free.
So even as a
I have
PT
one.
Okay.
As an organization,
Okay.
you can, and then people would have to sign up for it.
So, okay.
And again, I think these are such good ideas. You're gonna want though to have a committee that really digs into it, does that presentation, and then you're gonna want to also make sure you have all of the passwords and all of that information, because you change every year. So you wanna make sure you have a really solid legacy protocol in place. So when, you know, the next, or even if you're here 5 years or whatever, that those things, you know, come up, because what I've seen happen is, you know, you do something and then you leave, and then the next person comes in and now the site is dormant.
Yeah.
And you want people to feel that this isn't something, a 1-year thing, you know, you wanna have that, you know, momentum behind it. So having the planning piece, and I would, you know, suggest, you know, on your committee, you have a parent, a teacher, someone like Renee, who has a good sense of remind, that's really building out that plan. So when you present it and you vote on it, all of those pieces are really nice.
Cool, and then I just had one last thing again, I know, just for transparency and accountability, you know, I think that our bylaws don't really address that too much, and we talked about, I guess this is where we are gonna diverge on how we address this, cause our bylaws don't really address it currently, and so I felt this was a good form, at least to bring it up, cause it looks like it needs to get done. I don't think anyone's really taken the steps to do it, and it is a daunting process. I did take time over the last couple weeks and have drawn up, you know, some proposals. So I'm gonna hand this out, and you know, I'll let however we want to decide how that needs to be done. But I do want to start that conversation, because I do believe, as the bylaws read, you know, anyone can bring these forward, and in 30 days they can vote on them. And so I would argue that this is a proposal that we maybe look at doing. And
30
so-
days.
I would recommend, you, as a board, you create a policy committee and you workshop it. That would be my suggestion, because it's gonna be important that you have a committee that comes together and really looks at it like we did.
And I only argue on that one because our bylaws currently don't delegate an executive board as far as like, meetings and stuff like that. And so that's how I say.
It doesn't go either way.
Yeah, it doesn't go either way, and
You have
so
nowhere, yeah.
I would err on the side of the membership in the organization
Oh,
should take
absolutely.
precedence.
The membership should be a part of that
And so,
conversation.
I think at least this is a start, to start this, and hopefully we can get this implemented relatively soon, because I think, again, we have a lot of holes that we need to plug, and it would be nice to get some of this done before the start of the next year, you know, when, we have new families and, new board committee. I think we're in a good time to kind of address some of this and talk about it, just with all the issues, of how big it is, so.
And I would strongly encourage you to get some legal representation too for that, to look over your.
So I'm gonna leave this here, if people wanna take a look at it, we can, formulate something to the next meeting, maybe to talk about it, and,
I would like to say something about the webpage.
Yeah.
I felt like I heard you saying that you wanted to be separate from the school, but you're part of our school. So it feels like you wanna be with us, not separate from us. And so, while I think having a webpage is great, I also think that your communication, you're like, well, I wanna do everything separate from the school, but if you do everything separate from the school, we as teachers don't know what's going on. And then administration doesn't know, so I feel like we wanna work together as a team.
we'd all be,
not separate.
we'd all be involved with the website. So my goal with the website is, the minutes are there, the agendas are all posted, everything is like archived and available to look at. Right now, we don't have minutes up there.
Right,
for
that
this
part I
meeting.
get, it just felt like when you were presenting it, you were trying to separate the PTO from the
No,
school.
and
I feel like we should work as a
Yeah,
team
no, I
to
think
make it.
I wasn't trying to separate us as in that sense, I think that separating as in, I don't wanna burden the school administration with us coming to them all the time. If we can change it on our, here in this room, we don't have to go to the, webmaster and say, hey, I need this fixed, or,
Okay, I heard the communication part and all that, and as a teacher, sometimes we get a lot of questions asked about what's going on with PTO. And so if we don't get information from PTO, or we don't know what communication
Well,
is
this would
going out,
solve-
like if it only goes out on the website, but it doesn't go out through, Mrs. Sanders, when she sends a thing, we don't know what's going on, but we're the ones that get the questions.
Yeah.
So I guess I just wanna be, as a teacher, part of that team,
Yeah,
and
and that's
part of
what this
PTO.
would,
with
this is just more to help administratively help us out, to streamline it. Again, I think in the s'more, PTOs it's at the bottom, I mean, I'm guilty of it, I open it up and I'm like, scrolling through and it's like, oh gosh,
How you read the whole thing.
I get tired, I mean, I'll read it eventually, but my first 5 minutes are, okay, I saw my kid's picture and I'm good now, So, I think, having it as a, maybe a standalone email kind of takes away from the distraction of what what you're trying to provide to the school as far as what's going on, and also what events maybe we're trying to put on as the PTO, for those that don't know these.
But I really think that you should still go through our school, because too many clicks, you're gonna lose people, and you need to be a united front with the school, not over the PTO. So like, even though you don't wanna bother the webmaster, she's amazing and she puts
She
things up
just reached
faster
out to
than I
me,
can
I just
answer.
got an email, she's like, let's work, she wants to work together, she's like, send me anything.
But I think you need to work with the school and with the infrastructure that we already have.
At least put the link.
Put the link on there, and,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, have your own website, but make it through our school.
Yeah, and I
because
agree, I
it's
think
still
putting a
part of
link
the
there
school.
would be the stepping stone, having a link in the s'more, and that's all it is, just a link, that just is static there, a static link on the Facebook page, and that way people know they can go to the website. Again, I wouldn't wanna go to the website, in my everyday thing, this is more of, hey, if you didn't make the meeting, this is where you can find the minutes, tomorrow, the draft minutes, or,
Which she will, I mean, I think they have a pretty smooth system going, that they will.
She's amazing.
But
Yeah.
I think you need to work with the actual district and not.
So
And by updating them.
I have a
the Facebook
question.
pages, it
How
helps
do
a
you
lot.
teachers feel about the Facebook page? Like, I'm trying to
like
get
it.
feedback on it, like to know if you guys are actually receiving stuff, because I know some teachers are saying they're not getting it in time,
I see.
they're not receiving stuff, so.
Well, it's on my feed, if the
Okay.
teacher goes in and likes it, then I would,
Okay.
follows the page, then I would assume it shows up on the
I
feed.
think,
Okay.
and Renee, your point is so important, because people are gonna start with their website.
Yeah.
They're gonna go there.
Go to the website before they come there.
That's typically, so
And
you
that's-
want to have that Emerson or Eisenhower, whatever the page is, looking good with your stuff on it. And I think the Facebook page is great for flyers and things like
For
that,
what- Yes, for
that
like,
kind of
for
stuff.
eat out
But-
night, skating party.
I go and clip our, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
copy your
copy
thing
you
and
and
put
I
it in
just
my
put it in
newsletter, so, yeah, it's helpful.
Okay.
But I really think stuff like that needs to go through.
Well, I'm advocating that, yes, we have a link for maybe a separate website, but we have a separate repository for our records. And that's what I'm getting at. Cause I don't think our website, the school website, does not have the
No,
There's
just
no
that
The
you're
Does
banner.
it does have the
Yeah.
capacity for keeping long-term storage?
Well, what I would suggest you would do is on the district page, or your page for Emerson, have it say, link to meeting minutes,
Eisen.
a link to your secretary.
And that's what I'm getting at, is we need a central, I guess I should back it up, not really a website, that's probably the bad word at this point. More of a repository to hold all our documents,
Yeah,
so that
'cause I
when
was
someone,
given
What about like a
big
Google
Like an
list.
electronic,
yeah, you know,
Like
Like a
the budgets are
Dropbox
up there, so
type
you know, like the
situation.
budget, you know, right now, you know, unless you're at this meeting, you don't know what the budget is. If I miss a meeting, you know, I like to know, you know, what the budget was, I can go in there and look. So I guess that's what we're looking for, more of a electronic repository to start holding
Okay,
all
when
this
you
stuff.
talked, it sounded more like
Yeah, sorry.
emails.
Two separate
It sounded more
emails, yeah.
like social things, you know, sending out texts
Oh,
and emails.
yeah,
and
no, that's like more
communication
Facebook.
to the parents.
Yeah. No, I'm talking all the nitty gritty administrative stuff. That's what I'm trying to get
Okay.
at. I say website.
And, you know, like when you go to our board meeting website, it'll say Monday, whatever, board meeting agenda, then the minutes, so that's the kind of thing we want. I would think parents would go to our site.
yeah, so like right now, the website, cause I looked at it, it's, you know, like the homepage, and then there's administrative, and it has September, October, November, January minutes, and then I did put the most recent budget report, not how much is like in the bank account, but just the budget report in itself. And that's pretty, and then it says who the board members are. That's pretty much all that's on that website that he's talking about. There's not a lot of other stuff, but at the same time, I was trying to also figure out with this Sam's Club membership, if back in 2022, if it ever actually got approved, kind of a thing, but I wasn't able to go back. So this is also another avenue that 2 years later, they can go
I
back
have
and
all-
they
I
can
found
say,
all the
oh,
minutes."
look at that. It was approved and then, you know, like it got approved year after year. So it's also for our use for an electronic storage, so we know, and it's an
Yeah.
easy access for people to get to.
It's, you know, I get what you're, and you can go back and look at our board meeting minutes for like the last 10
Yeah,
years.
I have them from just so we know, we have the meeting minutes from like 1980s.
Oh,
I have them all. Nobody told me about them when cause I was thrown in and then I didn't even know, so I
You're
had
not digital, you're carrying around a file.
it's more than a file, it's
So it's more just like a digital.
How long
Yeah.
do we have to keep
I
like,
called the
the
CPA
minutes and
indefinitely.
Oh.
The
You know,
CPA
and
said
that probably
indefinitely.
at some point would be a good job for somebody to scan it all and you would,
Yeah.
you could archive it, but I think you leveraging, you know, we can look at the way we do the little monthly thing and have that on the Eisenhower page. We'd say, oh, your meeting minutes, click here, and you would link to the meeting minutes, or you would link to the, you know, really the big three are the meeting minutes, the agenda, and the budget.
Budget.
And having a link on your home page with the district would get people there very quickly. So again, that, our webmaster would be happy to help with all that.
Yeah.
And again, I think sitting down with your publicity committee and coming up with a plan for what that's gonna, the district website's gonna have on it, mock that up, what you're gonna put in the repository, and what you're gonna do on Facebook, and coming back to your group at the next meeting and voting on it, and then getting it done would be a sensible next stop. You know, and you are already that committee, I think this would be a great time to add more members to that committee. Cause you want a committee, not one I mean, not that, you know, one person, it's not a committee, obviously. So, that would be my recommendation, and then talking about the bylaws needs to be, that you need, that's gonna require.
That's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take a while, but it definitely needs to get
It
done.
needs to
Yeah,
be done,
no,
yeah.
I agree. I never looked at it, to be honest, a PTO meeting was just, I didn't even know about it. I mean, I knew about the bylaws, but never was shown them.
Yeah, it's important, it
Yeah.
really is, it's
No.
very important.
Alright, cool, thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, we also put, if anyone had anything they wanted to talk about, any other citizen, we have these cards, if you want it, I think what we should do is if you want one, you can grab one, and then we'll move with the treasurer report, and then we can come back to these. If anyone has one, you can come up and get one, I'll just leave them right here, right? And then, so I'll leave that there, and then we will move over.
Sorry, I got a quick question.
Oh.
So part of new budget, I thought I was gonna be talking about the playground upgrades.
Yes,
I mean, I can make it real quick.
I think I was told you can talk about that during
Oh,
your,
during?
yes, so
Okay,
that's why.
perfect. All right, then we'll continue on, sorry.
So I'm going to motion to, no, not yet, I'm sorry, we're gonna go to the financial report.
All right, so hopefully everyone out there has my financial report. In order to be more transparent, I have now included an exact breakdown of every single dollar and penny that comes into and goes out of our account. You will notice on the far right side, it says B, that is our business account. And then we also have a nonprofit account, which is the money we basically get from Sherry Poker. So you can see what comes out of the business, what comes out of the nonprofit. And then it looks like the only positive we had was the skate night. Everything else was expenses. Since the last one, it was negative $6,593.94. And then we already discussed that there is a $110 reimbursement that we're waiting for the Sam's Club membership, as well as Ms. Sanders is currently helping us with a bus dispute bill. We got a $389 bus bill for Miss Laidlaw's Young 5 class, but to our understanding, it was multiple schools that went on it. It shows that 2 school buses from Eisenhower left. We went all the way up to the garden center. We came all the way back. And how Ms. Sanders kind of explained it is, it was not just our school, so that should be split
Last year
between
was
the other
split.
It
schools.
was split, what happened was the other school ended up paying the whole bus bill, thinking they owed that amount, and it was not supposed to be, so they are going to credit that school, and then we are going to get a new bus bill showing us our amount, which I think is like $71.
Which is perfect. Okay.
I think it's unusual that when you go on field trips that the young fives come from 5 buildings. So normally when we go on a field trip, you're the only one, but
Right.
because there's only 17 children in young five, you can't take us 5 buses. So we go to one school, we come here, we go here, we go in a circle. We just did it again, 3 schools went to the play, they picked us up, so there will be another bus coming, and hopefully we'll figure out how to have the bus bill split. Or at least when they come, you know it's gotta be split
5 ways. And then, so this is,
And
I was gonna ask, so, cause we did say she could talk, some of the things that was in the agenda that I had put in with everyone, tell me what they wanted in the agenda. Some of it was the treasurer's things she wanted to talk about, and I was told she could talk about it in her.
report, yeah.
So before we do any motions, she's gonna
Yeah.
finish, okay.
Okay, so if everyone goes to the main budget sheet, under classroom supply support, it's $100 for teachers. We've spent $2,125. We do have an available balance of $275. I would like to make a motion that the 2 new teachers that have come to Eisenhower, that we give them a reimbursement of that $100, because we still have available funds. So either they can give us a reimbursement of a receipt that they have purchased something for $100 since they've been here, or they can go out today and they can spend the $100 and then, get that reimbursement. So I would like to.
I thought Dr. Lesniak said we did not need to make a motion because we had already budgeted the 2,400 and we're under budget. So we've already made the motion to spend that money. Was that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so then
Okay.
you don't have to do it again.
Okay.
So you're good.
So then I'm just stating, so when people see that amount moves next time, that we are going to, write a check for the 2 new teachers with reimbursement. Unfortunately, I didn't bring them with me, but I do have 2 new reimbursement forms. I have one form for the teachers, so when, at the beginning of the school year, you provide your receipts, and then we will cut you a check for your $100 or your $50. So that way it kind of helps with my check and balance situation, as well as a reimbursement form for, I get bus bills, but I'm not quite sure what grade they're for, so it's really hard for like the field trip section. I have like a separate Excel sheet, and I have on there, every student in that classroom gets $15. So sometimes I struggle to figure out what classroom that bus bill is from, or, why I'm getting this. So, I would like to actually have the teachers or, Ms. Sanders, let's say, fill out this so I know, as well as this sheet is a a record for me of I signed the check as well as somebody else looked at it and signed the check, so it's kinda like a check and balance, so that way it's two sets of eyes on everything.
There's always the grade on the bus bill though, I could show you.
And it
where
usually
you
says where
found
they're
it, 'cause
going.
It
So if
does
you ever-
tell you what grade went on the bill.
Okay,
So I can show you, you can come into the office, I'd be more than happy to show
It
you.
usually
how to
says,
do it.
yeah,
I
fourth
mean, so that
grade.
would just, I mean, if you wanna do that, it's fine, but I'm saying that.
yeah,
this
but the
way
thing
you
also is
know.
we've had some like, overspending in years past, so this also kind of helps where, if a teacher spends more than their allocated amount, you do it every year? Alright, then, but then that way, if it's above that $200, we would then bring it in front of the board and say, hey, Miss Laidlaw spent over $200, do we approve to increase her field trip amount or not, kind of a thing. So, as I said, for my record keeping, I would really like to, implement a reimbursement form, so that way I have the information, as well as it just kind of keeps on my end, everything smooth.
I didn't know if we had to vote, I'm just trying to, this is new to me, so we've never used a reimbursement form, that's never been what we've done, is that something we should?
I don't think you need to vote on
Okay.
that, that's an administrative, that's like a administrative guideline or
Okay.
regulation you're coming up with. You're gonna vote on things like the website, you're gonna vote on these bigger things, I mean, a
Yeah.
form like
I
that.
do have a question about your forms. So are you saying when we budget for the teachers' money, we're not giving them the money until you get their receipt?
It is a reimbursement, so they get reimbursed for it, it's not a $100 gift to them, because I don't know what they're spending it on.
But what about when we do get it, we spend it, we show you the receipts we spent it on? Like, some of us don't have $100 right away to spend on our kids.
Then perfect, I will write you that check right away.
Because I can show you right now on my phone everything I spent,
Yeah.
even more. For
Yeah,
my
it's just,
kids.
as I said, it helps me to have that information, and it's like my check and balance, so it just helps me to know. So if, before even school starts, if you wanna send an email to the PTO page and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, this is the $100 I already spent, I will say, perfect.
I have a suggestion, so I do all the purchasing for the building. A teacher, to ask them to go spend their money first and then wait for a reimbursement, that's kinda hard. So why don't, if they want to order something and they have something in mind and you already have the money, could you do an Amazon purchase for them and order it for them right up front, so they don't have to wait for the money to come back to them, since you have it already in your account?
I mean, hypothetically, like,
So you're saying
yeah, I
she's in
can,
charge of all of
Yeah, I
it?
would.
They
Yeah,
email
that'd be
you your
cool.
order, you take care of it all, it's all on your checks and balances.
yeah, I mean, that way, cause then I have the receipt, and I'd say, alright, you get $100,
So
here you
from
go,
a
you wanna
teacher
spend it, kind of
standpoint, would you prefer that, saying this is what's in my Amazon cart, please purchase it? That's a good idea.
Or if you shop at other places though, that's.
So the
I
way,
mean, anyway, I'm just
I don't
asking.
wanna talk
I
about
don't know,
the,
it feels funny, like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nice
Feels
to
like
get the
you're-
check in our mailbox,
Yeah.
and it just is.
And it's.
But nobody
People in the
ever sends us a
classroom right
I mean, we get the one thing that says, turn in your receipts, and I'm usually pretty good about turning them in, but we don't get a reminder saying, hey, just a reminder, you need it. Is there a certain amount of money you have to spend that you need the receipts?
So
I did call the CPA, so I did call him,
okay.
so I called Joseph at Bus and Co, cause I asked, legally, if we give you $75, we can say you have to give us a receipt, you do not have to, there is a $75 rule, you do not have to turn in a receipt. He said $100, technically, you're supposed to turn in a receipt, but he said you as a president, I could say, okay, this is our budget of $2,400, we're gonna have an agreement, we believe that these teachers are gonna spend that $100 easily in their classroom. We are okay with that $2,400 in our budget, we don't need a receipt. And he said, that's okay, we would just show that we've made that agreement, so we can just, so he told me you do not, as long as we have a vote, we would have to have it in a minutes that we took the vote, then we would not need a receipt.
That
think-
seems way easier.
But I think it helps dispel the perception though that something that, again, not that anyone is doing anything bad, but again, we don't know what's gonna happen in 5 years, who's here, and we don't wanna make a situation where something could happen. So I think it's just the checks and balance of, yes, things are
It's
getting
just
done.
another step for the teacher, like,
Again,
I
I
know
work in the
this-
government, I have to do it all the time, so I'm used to it, so it's
But
like,
think how much
it's in-
work that would take off their plate for getting
keep
all these
these
receipts for all of us.
And going through, like, I
We all
could,
spend hundreds and hundreds, probably
more.
thousands of dollars on our classroom.
Easy.
That $100 is not putting a dent in what we spend.
no,
So, just give it, I feel like giving it to the teachers as a gift to say, thank you for everything you do for our kids, seems way kinder than hounding for receipts, if that's an option.
So then the other
But I
thing
mean-
is what happens if, a teacher is only here for a month?
It is what it is.
But then we're
Even
accountable
that
for
one-
that by the IRS, and that's,
but I talked to the CPA, he just told me as long as we could show we took a vote, if that was in, we took the vote, he said, as long as that was in your budget and you voted on it, he said, you're good. And like I said, Joe from Bus and Co.
Yeah, you're
that's his
100%
name.
right.
So-
$75 is the limit, you could give everybody $75 and they wouldn't have to.
And we can say you have to, but you don't have to. So that's what he said, you can lower it to $75 and then beg them for a receipt, they don't have to give you one. And he said, or if you do $100, that does change, but he said, all you would have to do is hold a vote, is what he told me. Hold a vote and say you're okay with that amount in your budget, $2,400 for the year, so that's all.
Yeah, and I think you guys bring up a really important point, because you're at a place right now where I hear differences, you know, and I hear you're right. A lot of districts, they just give their teachers $100 and that's the end of the story.
A lot of other buildings.
And a lot of other buildings do that.
Having been in the district for, this is like my 30th year, when I was in the classroom, that's all we got checks from the PTO, and it was very gratefully, appreciated, and I think I needed to be reminders to get a receipt in, cause I wasn't intending to be deceitful, not that you're suggesting that, but people have a lot going on, and so I think just kind of keeping that, in mind is helpful, and, to kind of just listening to both sides. I'm sure that the parents at Eisenhower are deeply appreciative of how hard the teachers work for your children, and the teachers appreciate the donation. It just feels a little different, I think, depending on how, you're framing out the accountability that you expect from them. And so, just as a listener, I do believe that at the other 5 buildings, the PTO does a very similar thing, and they give the teachers checks, and then they ask them to, provide them receipts or, when they can, so. After that.
I have a question. So for you guys, I know you guys buy your guys' stuff for your classrooms. I don't wanna get into it, but like, are you guys buying supplies for your classrooms, like games, like just activity stuff?
Yes, I buy activities. I am in a special education classroom, and a lot of my kids are visual learners, auditory learners, and tactile learners. There is so many things out there that they need to help them. And I can show you what I bought with the PTO money is I bought my counting mirrors. I love those things, and the kids use them daily. I use them daily, and that helps with their math and everything, and it's tactile to them. It's theirs, it's fun. Some are small, some are big, they're different colors. This helps with so much academics that they deserve and that they need.
Okay, so question, would you guys, for the teacher appreciation, I know Tyler had sent out an email about what you guys are looking for. I know on the survey, you guys had stated more indoor recess stuff and activities and things. Is that something that you guys want more investment in?
Are you saying
Instead of like-
the $100, or are you saying?
Or instead of
In
teacher
addition.
appreciation?
Instead of like teacher appreciation and how it's all decorated and things like that, would you guys prefer to have more stuff in your guys' classrooms for you guys and the students? So the more money is more utilized?
It feels like not teacher appreciation, it feels like for the students, which is. I'm
No,
fine
it would
with
still
the
be for
students.
both. I'm just trying to figure out a
Well, you were
balance
asking
of.
what we spend money on. Ask my husband how much I
Yeah.
spend on Amazon. I mean, just reading month is coming up. I just bought a border. I just bought something else. We buy games for our classroom, books. We're having, March's reading month. We do a big pet thing. We buy animal crackers for them. We buy we just constantly are purchasing.
I understand, and that's why I'm just trying to get an idea based off of the survey information that I had gotten back. I'm trying to pinpoint where you teachers need help at, because I've tried to reach out. I'm trying to get more information to help you guys to get more things in your guys'
I think if you
rooms.
have extra money in your budget, yes, we would love recess things for
So,
outside.
can I just cut in here for 1 second? So, back at the beginning, when we did our expense and balance report, we did amend it, so instead of for your students, it being $15 just for the field trip, it is now included for field trips and or student classroom activities. So if you don't go on any field trip, go ahead, spend that $15 on recess material activities, submit that to me, and it's all yours. And I can, at any time you can, let me know, hey, I wanna know how much I have left in it, how much is available, that kind of thing. I do think, possibly in the future, putting in for indoor recess since we have this surplus, but I just wanna let you guys know that that is another avenue. The $15 is not just for field trips this year, it is for field trips as well as for any classroom activity. Valentine's Day, pizza party, any kind of classroom activity, because we understand that some classroom, last year my kindergartner, she went on it, and I feel like this year they were like, we're just keeping it in the school. I don't know if they're gonna do any other, field trips, but they might have extra money, and those kindergartner teachers can be like, great, I want a sensory bin, I want this, I want that. They still have plenty of money, and, I just wanna let you teachers know that that is another avenue, as well as you guys can come to us and you can, hey, I wanna propose that we amend the budget and, we do it. Something that Joseph has mentioned to me before is adding on to the budget sheet, pretty much like a, Joseph, what was the special name you called for that extra line?
Oh, I don't
But
even.
it pretty much is like, like the carryover to do like special events
Oh,
or that
grants
kind of
and special projects and
thing.
grants.
Special projects and grants, so that way, at the end of this school year, if we got $5,000, we can get your teacher input and you guys can say, can we have more books, so that way we spend less on books? Can we have, that, so that way we can help you as well as the students, so that way it's less on your guys' pocket, as well as, the PTO loves helping you guys out. Like, I love doing charity poker. I love giving my teacher, like, here you go, she bought some crayons, I gave Miss Laidlaw one of my gift cards last time. I'm like, here you go, like, that's my way to give back, just cause I financially can't give you guys the money, but it's, another avenue for you guys as well. Do you guys have any questions about that, or?
No, I know it's helpful to know.
Okay.
Spread the word.
Yeah, we need
We'll
to.
spread the word.
Okay, perfect, yeah, so just let all the teachers know it is not anymore just for field trips, it is for field trips or any in-classroom activity.
So since the funds for poker is 25, does that mean that you don't need receipts for those?
So that's like a good question, cause sometimes.
That might be different because it is.
Because it's technically through charity poker and we know we get audited every year, kind of a thing.
Yeah, they're.
So I definitely love I love my charity poker receipts, like I hold on to them and everything, like I love when I get them. Yeah, thank you.
I didn't add, that is different,
Yeah.
cause that's the,
I'm just curious.
yeah, good question. Table.
And where do you post that charity poker volunteer stuff?
It's
It is
posted on the
our
Facebook page.
Or you can ask.
I
me.
only know because she sends it to me and I'm like, I gotta work my schedule out.
Lynn also sends it out, or Mrs. Seaman also sends it out.
We do one school
Yeah,
messenger and then I put it on Dojo.
Yeah. Alright, and then the last thing, that I have is, in the blue playscape area, I would like to propose that part of the $2,500 we have for the playground, we put a 6-foot buddy bench in, so that way it can be used by students as well as parents that come after hours. Ms. Kelly's in the process of looking into, what we need from the district, cause it's going to go in ground, so, does it have to get, for insurance purposes, through the district, kind of a thing, but it would be cemented there. It would be a tool that I think would not just benefit the school, but the community as well. So I would like to, get everyone's yay or nay if we approve to, it's $1,000 for this 6-foot buddy bench, and then about $200 for shipping. And then Ms. Kelly will let us know if the district is gonna charge us anything to install it, or any additional fees such as concrete, any of that kind of stuff. And then once, we kind of know that, final amount, we can then kind of talk about what smaller projects we might wanna do in the school with the playground.
I meet with Mr. Burko tomorrow.
Okay. So,
You're making a motion then?
So can we, a motion for the playground fund? I mean, it's already in there, it's budgeted, so I don't know if we need a motion
So,
for it.
yeah, we've already, it's just saying,
We're just
Yeah.
gonna use the funds on that.
But I just
So
wanted
if
to-
everyone agrees that we're gonna use the funds on that, is there any yeas or nays?
I will second it, so if we need a second.
Okay.
I will second it.
Yep, so we're gonna start that process to get a 6 foot, I did reach out to Ms. Gargasalis, cause I got her email. If, you know, if you guys have like a preferred spot in that area,
We
I'm not
talked about
quite
it,
sure.
it's not our
Okay.
say, it's not just our playground.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Gardasalis did talk to me.
Okay.
They like the district.
They're gonna do that one.
I had thought about receipts. I could help with that. Like if you give me a list, I'm here every day, I could walk down and be like, hey, Mandy, I need your receipt, by the end of the year. Like, we could collaborate and I could,
yeah,
I'm
that's
here
how
every
we
day.
did it in the past,
I
but
could,
they had until
you
the end
know.
of the year, and I will tell you, like, the last day of school last year, I had the
Yeah.
mailbox was full.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't great, I didn't go through it, like, but it was a lot, so I would just file, I still have them, I have all of them, just filed away.
So I can start checking. And I can start
The other
reaching out
PTOs use
to my
the meeting to go.
Alright,
Alright, so at this time,
alright, so we're gonna, a motion
Which
to,
is fine.
do you want a second?
I'll second, I'll make a motion.
Okay. And to accept and file the financial report? All in favor, aye. Any nays? Unanimous? Alrighty, so the, committee what's that? So we were going to, there was a sign up, we did have a few people sign up to be on the, Spring Carnival Committee. So if anyone else is interested, we'll have a sign up. We're gonna have to set, because we don't have enough time tonight, we'll have a committee meeting for the Spring Carnival, cause I really do wanna start planning for that, it's exciting and fun, but I wanna get more help. So we'll get a sign up, and then we can either do a virtual meeting, figure that out, or in person for a committee for the Spring Carnival.
and then the committee meeting, so normally for the Harvest Fest, there was never really more or less a budget, so the committee meeting will have to talk about a budget, and then, again, it will have to be amended and put actually onto our budget sheet, because normally we just kind of use like the harvest, we use like fun run expenses, but since this is separate, we will need a budget and all that kind of stuff.
I have a quick question. I know you guys had talked about like a daddy-daughter dance or like a mother and son dance, and no one could figure out what to call it because we wanted to include everyone. There is like a family, you could just do family dance where parents
Family
bring
night
your
out.
Family night out, family night dance,
think
for
the
like maybe
problem
next year or something.
Oh, you said,
I've seen a couple other schools do it, and it's really cute where you don't have to, you can just, doesn't have to have a name with it really, it's just
Right.
bring your family and have a cute
No,
little
I love
dance.
that.
Mhm.
It, we had a hard time getting it going. Hi, hello.
There's a couple of schools that'll call it VIP and me,
Yeah.
so students will bring their.
Yeah, it's cute.
So it could be a grandmother,
Oh.
It's space in the building, that's one hard thing. I don't know if we could, we would have to go to a
I
hall.
know like it was like a hall thing or an issue,
And then just
but
trying to, the
Yeah.
budget part of it. But yeah, I would love to.
And a
I'm
couple other
keeping it
parents asked you about that
cost-friendly
too,
for
would love
so.
to do it, but yeah, it's just the price, I don't know how
like
many.
I'd rather spend money with the school to do a dance, like she's going to a dance with her dad this Sunday, but like, you know what
To
I
do,
mean?
I know, I would love it too.
I would rather spend it here than.
Yeah,
So I've seen other elementaries do it in like the gym.
that's what I was
Is
saying,
it-
I don't think our,
I don't think the
No.
gym's big enough.
We're
it
too
would be,
small.
it would be tight. I mean,
You could invite them out.
Or what about like Fraser High School wouldn't let us?
What's your suggestion? Richard.
Other buildings use Richards.
Oh.
Oh.
Is there a fee that we have to pay?
Mr. Julian's gonna be real happy with us.
You put it in a building use, the administrator, and so you have to have some staff guides, and then you put it in a building use form and.
Is there a fee associated with us borrowing Richards
I
Middle
don't believe so, I don't think so,
School, or?
it's, you know, it's,
I would just have to put in a request for it.
yeah, and then we just ask that, because you've been in the middle school gym, and if there's a raised part, we just ask
Yeah.
the staff there, and if you have.
I knew there was other
Well, you
Fraser
have
schools that have
verbiage
done
in
it
your
at school.
provisions
Like I
and
know you can
language
do
where
it.
Parents or
Yeah.
guardians are responsible.
Nolan's friend at
For their
Edison, they
child.
did it.
Yes, can't just drop them off without.
Is that
cute?
something that,
For next year.
that would be not for this year, obviously.
26 school year actually.
Perfect, yeah, maybe
Possibly.
somebody.
Oh man, Nolan's gonna be in third grade. He's not gonna wanna take his mom. No, yeah, he will.
All right, right, and then we did have, so we're gonna move on from the spring carnival, right?
Yeah,
there's
so
sign
we're
up
gonna-
sheet here.
So there's that, and then we're gonna go to the publicity committee. Did you have anything to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a couple things that I wanted to talk about. First off, I know with the fun run, we are now in February. I did have a chance to make a banner to recognize all the companies that did donate to us. I don't know if anybody is willing and wanting to try to get a banner for outside. Canva is allowing an $80 banner. It's a decent size. It would hang right in front of by the door. It's made for outside, indoor, wherever we wanted to put it. So that's an option. I'm not sure if you guys are wanting that. I also wanted to talk about the flyers and the printing. That was part of the beginning of the school year. I was doing printing from my house with all of the flyers, all of the designs. My printer took a crap. And I was also informed that I was not going to get reimbursed for everything. So I wanted to try to put in a motion to get reimbursed for all the ink and the paper that I did spend on what I printed. I also have done some research and found that certain companies will donate a printer for nonprofit companies, like the PTO, which would definitely help. And possibly putting a budget line in the budget for just the paper and the ink. Obviously, I don't need to buy a new printer if they're willing to donate it to us. Because otherwise, you guys aren't getting any more paper, flyers, nothing
How
unless
much do you need?
it goes to the office, and I know they're packed and they're all black and white. So I'm not sure how everybody else feels
How much
about
do you
that.
need, do you think, for the end of the year?
Just figure out the price.
Okay, I would have to figure out which printer it was first, but the paper is for 500 pieces, it's like $8.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Can
it's not
we,
that
I'd like to
much.
make a motion then for $300 for printing costs, at least till the end of the year.
I'm good with that. I would say, my second.
But what's that based off of?
Do we have to
Just
do it or is it based
A
on
general
the-
fund in order to fund her, printing
So
costs
where would
and
that- and then
handouts.
she'll turn it
Yeah,
to
and then she would
Natalie.
turn her receipts
I
into
think it's a-
Natalie, and if
Yeah.
we
So that's
exceed that.
$300 from August until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we would backdate what she currently has already spent on ink and print at the beginning from.
So, I have $48.96 that I spent in everything that I've printed up until,
We did vote.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it was rejected.
So
I thought we moved to pay that.
No,
no, we didn't.
no,
$48 for printing for all since now, from
Yes.
the beginning of the year till now?
Yes.
That's very cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know how you printed with ink for $48 without this.
Yeah, I think $300, if we allocate $300 towards, PTO's printing and material costs, I think that, she can use that too.
So, I'd like to make a, so do we wanna make a motion to add, to amend the budget for $300 for printing? So right now we have, oh, look at that, she's got my reimbursement form. So
Your
here's
neck is
my,
very red.
request form, and then the amount that she is requesting will be $48.96. Do we have a second on this? I'll second it. Okay, and then, is this a yay or a nay, to approve the $48.96? They can vote on it, cause it's everything. Well,
Yeah, it's a budget, so it's a group vote.
Okay.
So majority vote.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Any nays?
All years.
We're good.
okay. The next thing that I have is, I know the surveys had everybody to provide their emails if they wanted to be contacted with any information. On February's newsletter, I did put a sign up thing for anybody that wanted to receive emails with the newsletters and any communication. I'm not sure how everybody feels. I think that's gonna be more of a social media thing that we need to discuss with how the communication avenues are gonna go. But I do have the email distribution list that I had put together along with a photo release. I know we had talked about previous meetings, how we wanted to get more involved with pictures and how we just talked about the group. So we can do that. I know you had stated that we could not use the district photo release, we needed to get a separate one. So I did have that created. I know it's probably gonna have to get relooked at and discussed, but I do have that option there.
Okay.
Um,
You're saying to put the children's pictures on the
yeah.
Facebook
Like a
page.
PTO.
Yeah, to share
Got it.
like when we go to the events, cause I
Yeah.
know other
For sure.
PTOs take pictures and they post them. And then, as stated before, I do believe we do need another person on the social media committee. Not saying that I can't do it by myself. I love doing all the designing and stuff, but I need somebody to physically, I guess, take pictures and be able to provide actual pictures. So like if you guys are in the classrooms, pictures of anything that goes on, I would like to be able to share that with everybody else. Even if it's not PTO related, if you guys wanted to do that, I feel like that's gonna get more involvement and we're able to enjoy the smiles and laughter with everybody else.
You would have to get media release from parents to post their child's picture on Facebook.
That's, yeah,
Correct,
sure.
yep.
But what if
If they choose not to, then we would have to put a blur on it,
But that's
just
a-
like
it's a
anything
lot for a
else.
teacher, just as FYI, like, we get all our
it's hard enough
permission,
just with Fraser.
right, we get permission to post like wherever we're gonna post it, right?
Right.
And Facebook isn't normally one of ours, or whatever, I'm just saying it's a lot. You're gonna collect 400 people's, hopefully, things, tracking who doesn't have one is gonna be hard.
I understand that, but I know
Right,
we
I
had
don't know.
discussed,
What do other PTOs do?
they're posting
Why
I
don't
know
pictures
we-
of
I've seen
everybody.
disclaimers on like the flyers that pictures may be taken and posted, so I don't know if that's something we can do.
I would just recommend maybe we just leave it to just events that we do, like the dance or whatever, the spring fling. and
Just
then-
one maybe, like she said, if that.
Yeah,
The
put it on the
disclaimer
flyer.
on the
We'll just leave it
flyer.
at that, and then maybe if we get more sophisticated, we can do the classroom, but yeah, I think that's asking a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we get the s'more with all the pictures, so.
And I mean, but they know who's.
I think that's good.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's different.
It
too,
only
though,
goes
where
to the
some parents
parents.
Will say, yes, you can put it in the s'more, but we do not want it on like,
Social
the
media.
Fraser Facebook
Mhm.
or on, so again, it gets a little tricky just when 420 babes, that's a lot of kids.
That is all I have.
All right, and then we did get.
Oh, and I have one more thing. I don't know if we're gonna have to discuss this at another point in time, but the Facebook Live, how are we going to be voting on that, or?
Yep, we should vote on that.
Because people
But-
are
or
already
should we
asking
table
about
Do
it
we have
today.
to figure out, are we gonna
sure.
use?
Could we, what if we just stream it for now? At least that gives parents who can't be here, cause kids, whatever, have the opportunity at least to watch. And then if we wanna look at it later down the road as far as like, if we need to incorporate interaction, that's something we maybe research later on, but just to start.
Well, I think the process was, do we wanna go something more professional, like a go-to
Go-to
meeting where
meeting.
there's
We
like
did that
a
one,
chat box that you.
Yeah, I know like Disney does like go-to meeting, which I think you'd
We
have to.
did the
We've
first
done it.
two,
We
did.
yes, and then for some reason his, cause we have
I tried
professional
really
ones through
hard
the
to
school
set that up.
district, he was having trouble. So again, I could stream it using my go-to, so that way it's through the district, I can, again,
But she
share
would-
my link, and then it would just have to be sitting here, and then, again, it would be in the chat, so I would just have to maybe have somebody else. That or I would be sitting away from the table, so that would just have to be something that we have to think about. But having a more professional format might be,
So then would we be able to post it on the Facebook page then,
So that's
at
why I
that
wasn't
point?
sure, I didn't think we were supposed to put something out there to let them like, is something supposed to be out there forever when you do it, if we're live? Are you just live for, this is where there was,
we had confusion,
I
yeah,
was
so
with
Well,
Mrs.
we're-
Kelly, I didn't just take it down, it was awful, and I was with Miss Kelly, she's like, maybe we should just, I didn't know,
Well,
are
I
we
said
supposed to
the
be?
other videos were on there, so like our November one's not on there, the one from Go To Meeting wasn't on our Facebook page.
I think as a,
Go-to meeting was not posted on the Facebook page.
Or the November one.
November one somehow was deleted. That is a conversation I
delete
am
it.
not sure of.
Oh, so again, when I went on the page, it said videos, there was no video, so I said,
I didn't know how to delete
was
it,
live.
I did not delete November's, I did delete the last one.
again, we didn't think we kept them,
Yeah.
so that was our fault.
But when I did, it said that you could set up, it was, once it's live, it's over, like, that's what it.
But it posts to the page unless it's,
up for a certain amount of
A time, right.
I didn't
And-
catch I don't know, some of it, and then had to
So that Facebook Live does what? It stays up for a couple days?
It stays
I don't know how
up.
that works.
Okay.
Honestly.
It stays up there. As of yesterday, Facebook now has changed it to if you post a live Facebook, it deletes within 30 days.
That's what I saw.
As of
today.
yesterday. Anything
That is what I saw.
prior to yesterday was physically deleted off the page.
Is the go-to meeting, since it's part of the school, are we allowed, is it releasable as far as we can access it later on down the road?
I don't
Or
believe,
is that only with, if you're within the school system?
I can save it.
Yeah, archive.
oh, you
Yeah.
can archive.
Yeah, I would just advocate we use the go-to live maybe, and then
Okay.
we just have the video held somewhere, and people who can't make it can access it later down the road. And then we just make a policy like at the end of the school year, we just delete
Get
the
rid of
meetings
them.
because we have minutes. But at least we purge everything over the summer, and then we start
Sure.
fresh every year. That way we're just not.
I think that's
Hold
smart.
this
I'm
stuff.
good with that, yeah, so I
Yeah.
don't have to bring these minions.
Well,
Yeah.
or if your kids, I mean, right now you're
Yeah.
on video, so that
Yeah.
that's all on
Yeah.
Facebook
Um,
too, or if you mention the kid's name, I mean, just some things, I don't know if it,
I don't know. if we
because the
did
page
people.
is public,
Would we
everything
start
is out there.
GoToMeeting effective next month? So,
Yeah,
so
we
we're
don't-
done with Facebook, we're gonna vote at Facebook
Vote tonight.
Live.
So we'll still do Facebook for all of our flyers and our fun Canva, and then we'll do the streaming through GoToMeeting.
So are we also going to allow people to be voting and commenting
I
during
feel
No.
like
that?
we need to
No, I
table
think we need to
that.
address that later on.
I
I think this is just to get us.
Just to get us a platform through for right
I
now
agree.
until we go back and have the rest of our workshop.
Okay.
Okay, so GoToMeeting for the future, so I will have that set up
So
and then
just
I
let
can
people
share that
know
with
if they
you so
wanna
we can
vote
blast
and
it out on the
what opinion they
Facebook.
have to be.
Yeah.
The link.
Huh? No,
Do we have to vote on
oh
what
yeah,
we're
so,
gonna do?
so,
Is this
the-
what-
okay, so we're gonna,
Someone makes a motion
We're gonna-
to record your videos using GoToMeeting.
so we're gonna make that motion to record our videos using GoToMeeting and we can put them in the archives, we can go back and watch them. All in favor?
I second it.
Second it.
Who supports
Second
the
it.
motion?
Okay.
Okay, and second?
Okay, Mr. Sleezer? All right, all, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. Okay. All right, we did get one card back, and, it's from Mr. Zeus, and it says club sponsorship.
Yes.
You'll have to help me, I don't know what.
Yes, I have this great idea. I don't know how great it is. It's great to me because it's a nerd thing. So I went to the Michigan MISD read-a-thon thing, whatever they have in the fall. They had a robotics club there. It looked really cool. I tried to follow up on it, and it was like the high schoolers. So I did some more work. So basically, what I'm asking, and this might be maybe through more forms. So basically, they have a robotics for the elementary school age. Basically, it's K through 3, whatever, and then up to 6th grade. And it's basically through Legos. You get a Lego kit, you build it, you go compete with a bunch of others. Oh, you used to do it? Okay.
Did it at another
Alright.
school with her son,
So
yeah.
I guess if we used to do it, I would like to maybe as the PTO sponsor a club. It's this is an easy one we could probably do. I guess the biggest one is just to get the conversation started. If we can maybe generate a survey, put it out to the parents, and say, hey, is anyone even interested? Because if no one's interested, then we're wasting our time. Yes.
Actually, if you do that through DI, you would make a flyer and parents would send you a thing. You would have to, a person to run it, if that's what you wanted to do. And then you would hold a meeting and you would get volunteers. They used to run the Lego robotics when I was in that hallway there. They would practice in the hallway. And, yeah, we had, quite a few teams, that Kathy Roberts, there were quite a few teams. They were pretty good. Yeah, they were pretty good.
But you have to have a lot of parent
Yes.
involvement.
Yeah, and that's
They
what
have to know up front that it's a commitment, just like with Science
Just like
Olympiad.
Science Olympiad.
Yeah, it's a time commitment on the parent part, you gotta get
But
the
yeah, you can,
parent buy-in too.
How
But it's
I
fun,
do
the kids
DI
love
is
it.
I send out a note saying, calling all, young 5th through 6th graders, this is what it is, we'll hold a meeting, you can either do a go-to meeting, and then parents would come to the meeting, you would tell them what the responsibility was is, and then, depending on how many volunteers you need for it, and that, and then you go from there.
Okay, awesome. Maybe I'll get with you later on. I think we're in the sweet spot where they're going to accept registrations basically, I think starting in May. So
For next year?
For next year.
So you need, okay.
So it's, yeah, so we're kind of like, got to do something, but we also have some time to talk about it, but I'd like to at least get maybe in the next month or so, maybe get something formulated, get maybe people interested. Just to gauge interest, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, So yeah, you just need to make a flyer and decide what day you wanna do the meeting. I've reserved the media center before, actually most of the time I've done it in the media center. I try to go to meetings this year with DI and I had 2 people. So, I hope it works better than DI has worked for me for the last 2 years. because we have not had too many chairs. It is.
So anyways, that is my idea, so
Yeah.
I'll give you.
Take over about each and everything.
Okay.
You get it to run this real fast.
Alright.
My friend's son does it.
Yeah. Yeah, Fraser doesn't have anything. The closest one is like Troy.
So Chastity did not advertise that we were getting a banner this year, just on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But,
put their pictures on
Seemed pretty
Facebook?
easy.
just a shout out
Oh, what
on
have you guys done?
Facebook. No, we have
Oh.
not done anything yet.
Okay.
That's why I had gone on Facebook and made that. Canva only charges $80 for that big banner. So I didn't know if that's something that we wanted to invest in for this year or wait until next year.
Okay, so could we even maybe put it, like, I could put it in my s'more, thank you to all of our fun run sponsors, and that could be like the bottom banner of my, or the middle banner, I know you guys don't scroll to the bottom, but something to say, shout out to all the fun run sponsors, that's something I can include. too.
Yeah,
That
I'm
way-
gonna put it as the Facebook cover page also.
Perfect.
So I have it sized.
Yeah, so if you send me a picture of that, I'll put, like, again, for the next couple of weeks, just say thank you so much for our sponsorships, for supporting the fun run.
Yep.
Okay.
So were we saying you needed a banner or no banner?
Well, because the businesses were not given that information, so I said I'll just put it in my s'more
Okay.
for the next few weeks, giving them a shout out, and then she'll put it as the banner of the Facebook page, and then if that's something we wanna do next year, knowing that it's only $80, we could then display that on our
Now,
school.
question. So, it was 2 years ago in kindergarten, but I was pretty sure, like, when we did ask businesses, that it did say on there that they were going to be
My
put.
other guy didn't show up for 2 years. He didn't-
Oh,
he
okay,
did
so the
follow
new
the-
ones didn't say.
I had,
The ones this year did not.
Okay,
so that's
okay.
why I took that off this year, because I had, the gentleman that made our banners. We didn't get the banners done, so I just went on with,
Okay.
I thought maybe social media would be the better. Some schools still use a banner, but some don't, so it's,
So maybe if we were to do a
That's fine. I
banner
didn't
next
know-
year,
I didn't
put
know
it
if you
in
had
there
to do
again?
it.
Yes, just because then we have to let the businesses.
Yeah.
all right.
Alright, and then, I just want to
Don't you love
do
when
a
you're
quick
being
motion to add an audit committee. Alright, so, I'm just looking for 2 or 3 people that wouldn't mind just kind of being on the audit committee. It's just gonna be, at the end of the year, making sure check and balance, everything looks good, as well as I can provide you with any statements as needed. It's just, kind of a thing, just, as I said, check and balance. So if anyone's interested in being, on the audit committee, just let us know, and then we'll release that information at the next meeting.
But doesn't our CPA do that for us?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, our CPA didn't catch that, we had a check that was accidentally signed by an old board member.
Yeah, the CPA is only gonna
CPA
take what you
like, he-
present
yeah.
on a tax form or something like that. They're not gonna go in the nitty gritty. They're gonna say, hey, you're declaring these as expenses. They're not gonna go in the weeds and say, hey, that is an authorized or not
As well
unauthorized
as
expense.
The audit committee would just make sure that the PTO is staying within what they say they're budgeting, and if we go over that, we're disclosing that.
Okay, so they're
So it's just like a backup, right?
Yeah, it's a backup for me.
but it would be one of us, so.
It has to be a non-board member.
Okay, so a motion was made, seconded, okay, to approve, we're gonna approve an audit committee. So we don't have to sign up now, but we're saying it's okay to form a committee.
Yeah, so if anyone is interested in being on the audit committee, let us know, and then we will disclose that at the next meeting.
Thank you. All right, so I think,
And
anyone?
one quick question, the scholarship fund, how does that work for the high schoolers? Cause I've been getting emails, cause my daughter's in the high school, but I just don't know.
So I did bring, because there was questions, every PTO in the district we're private entities, so there's different scholarships. But I found ours, because they were turned in, so I just blocked off, this is a student. They're given a scholarship application, with their name, it tells you what you have to be enrolled into school, into a college. And you have to talk about what you plan to do, what's your GPA, you have to turn in your transcripts, and then please include a one-page summary of, like, your honors. Yeah, and then, that's it. So, yeah, you have to have went to the school, it doesn't say for how long. There are no stipulations, you have to be a student at Eisenhower. You have to be going to college. I know it was asked if we checked into where the money went. No, and I did reach out, we didn't. The money is written out to the school, or to the student, and they can use it for books, they can use it for, even the one, I called the high school, they said they can use it for transportation, driving to school, getting some food. We do $500 for one of our females and a male. We do $500 each.
So how is that determined if you get like 20 applications from?
So we give all of them to the principal. She gets a group
Block
of,
out all the names,
she
and then
blocks out the
we read
names,
all of them.
and then
The staff reads
the staff reads them, and they do a tally, majority rules, right?
So is there, it's just the principal and the staff? It's not like a special committee or anything?
So the
Or-
teachers are the committee.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's
So again,
what,
but we just don't put any names, just because we don't want
It's
anybody to
covered
say,
up.
oh, I had Joe in kindergarten, I'm gonna give it to Joe. So again, everybody's names are blocked out, just because we wanna make sure it's just based on what's written, not on prior relationships.
Right.
And it's an essay, you know.
Yes.
So one thing that I have in today's, I don't know if we should continue to do male and female. I would prefer maybe doing one scholarship for someone going to a trade school and one scholarship going for someone for a traditional university. I think that might be possibly a better option, especially since people are now pushing more towards trade. Or what if somebody doesn't identify with the gender they were born with? Like, how do they then get categorized into our male and female?
I think we're gonna have to table that.
I mean, I think I agree more with like the university, one student going to a university and one going to a trade school, because like more and more students are going to a trade, so maybe we do that instead of saying one male, one female, one going to a university
I have to
and
make
one.
sure.
So last year, again,
To
there
a
wasn't
trade.
any that were in trade, just last year when we read them, that wasn't any of the choices.
Well, but now according to the scholarship, so the principal, I don't know if you've seen your daughters in high school, they send home, because they get like weekly, almost like we get a weekly s'more. It'll say, hey, attention all seniors, write these, do your application for the, whatever it says, but it says, here's the criteria, you have to be enrolled. That might mean, I don't know if we can do it, because I think they,
I think they can, if they're going to a trade school, apply for those scholarships.
okay.
I think the piece that you might want to, think about is do go with the top two.
Yeah, just do top two.
That's,
Yeah.
take away male, female.
And
But I think
encourage-
also, if it's just the top two, what if they already have a bazillion other scholarships? Like, at what point is it that you want to
Yeah, you're not gonna work hard. Cause I go to the awards all the time. The interesting thing about the elementary awards is you're gonna get 6 different kids. Automatically, you know what I'm saying? So you've got some variety there. We have the athletic department does the top 2, athletics, kind of a thing. Again, you really don't know where people are falling financially with need with any of them, cause they're all academic based.
Yeah.
So that, it isn't based on necessarily, a financial piece, it's really based upon their academic excellence. That's what your criteria currently is.
Yeah.
So do you guys weigh more heavily on academics versus what they say in their essay?
They have to have at least a 2.5.
Okay, but as long as they have that, you guys don't
They're eligible.
automatically go with
So
so-and-so.
if they have a
has
4.0, that's not, no, that's not.
but if they
that's
rate
not-
it-
So
Great essay.
you don't kind of weigh that heavily, cause I think, I don't remember, I emailed somebody at the high school and at this school, it was 4 $100 scholarships for just the 4 highest GPAs.
Okay, that may be what their board decided.
Yeah, so like that's how they go, so I wasn't sure like how the
Yeah.
process is.
And if you wanted to, the athletic department, they literally say, I'm going to Central Michigan, they give them their student ID and they deposit the money right to Central.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to advocate for, that we deposit directly to the school towards their tuition
I reached out,
expenses.
now I can't think of her name, and she told
Is it
me,
Maureen?
more, her last name was
Oh, over there, but.
Mauer.
Miss
She's
Mauer,
a, she's a counselor, she was
Yeah.
wonderful, but she did say, she said she could tell me she told me nobody in, like, none of the schools looked into that, when I asked, I'm like, cause I've never looked in, I've been on the board for 5 years, I've never looked. She said, I can tell you none, and she said, she did tell me that the board gives some, and she said, I can tell you they're written out to the student as well. She said, we just give it to the student, and whether they wanna use it for gas money.
You're right.
They can
You
use it for gas.
either way with that, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, books, anything that they need to help
But
them.
they are
through
enrolled in
college.
school, they have to be enrolled, so. All right, so we'll figure out how we wanna change, if we change it.
I mean, I feel like if we kind of advertise for trade schools, we might then get more
I
kids
mean,
that
it's
are
more
like, hey, I have a
popular
2.5.
now.
'Cause I think right now, you reason you said like no one applied last year for trade school, I think it's probably marketed to colleges. So I think we have to change our verbiage and say, if you're in trade schools, maybe get with the counselor and say, hey, if you're going to trade, please apply.
Maybe
And
kids
that's
don't
not
know
just-
that.
I think
So
right
might
now
be
it
based
just
on
says,
GPA.
I think it just says, hey, it's not, I don't think it does it, Ms. Hammer would probably know too.
I mean, it says it on there, all the applications
I
that
have
you can apply for it. I get this more from the high school, so
Yeah,
I.
okay, I'll look into it,
don't do it.
I have it, or I can send you, I have an actual, I can put a picture screenshot, so I can let you
Well, if
see
you're
what.
looking at the top 2 essays, it wouldn't matter, because the grade kids to college kids.
It's just,
Yeah, so maybe that's our route, just
If I
the
would,
top.
grading them out for a well-rounded person,
Yes.
somebody who maybe volunteers some, has other outside interests, plus school, plus grade, you know what I mean, you're
I love
looking
that.
for.
So why is our criteria specifically one male and one female? Why can't it be?
We just said that, top 2. Again, this was
Yeah.
just
That was
what it's been
but, you know,
since
kind of maybe
1985, so.
It's been that way for, it's just,
Yeah,
Like
we
an
can
option
just
to
change it.
change.
That's what I'm saying, we'll just change it to top 2. That'll just be our top
so
2.
we
For
don't
2
need to vote.
students.
Good.
Top 2 higher are the ones that are best.
Well, they probably did it.
The top
when
2
girls-
essays.
Girls weren't getting them at the time or something.
That's
Yeah, I'm
true.
not sure, it's just,
That's probably what it was, and now times are changing.
True.
Well, I was here when they decided that, when we started the scholarship.
thank you.
And we just, that's kinda how we thought, like, let's just give opportunity to 2 kids, and we said boy and girl at the time. I mean, I've been here for 23 years, I don't know how long we've been doing it. So that was our first, like, just initial, like, we wanted to give back to the kids at the high school. I went to Fraser, I got a scholarship or 2 from things at the high school, so it's great to be like giving back to our Eisenhower kids. I've read many of those essays, we don't just look at the grade point, like, honestly, like you said, we look at, these kids write really great essays, so they say all the things they do, and we like well-rounded, they say they go in the community, do things, so it's not just a grade point, so just so you know, like, I've done it for a long time.
Does
so-
anyone block out any specific, kind of like key factors where it's like, I'm homecoming king, any of that kind of stuff on it, where it would
Never-
almost
I've
like,
never
you
read
be
one
able to
just
like
like
back
that.
it up?
I mean, I really think, like, honestly,
I've
the
never
ones I
read one.
read, they say they went to Eisenhower, they say what they did, like, a lot will be student council kids, they'll be like, I was on student council,
Safety
I
squad.
was safety
Happy
squad.
to be- yeah.
They like tell all the things they did here, but
Okay.
also then what they do at Fraser High School. So just so you know, like, they're not just saying, well, I was, you know,
I'm
they
the
might say
captain
I
of the
played
soccer
football, or I play sports,
Yeah,
but
they can.
it really is
But that's,
just like.
that's a part of who they are, and they're proud of it, that should be shared too.
Yeah, cause we don't know.
We're not gonna go and search that.
And it's all blanked out, so when we pick it after, we don't know, we're just reading them. So, just so you know, like, I was here when it first started, so. It was just.
Sure.
We're
writing down everything you guys
There are teachers here
Would I
that
say
were
I'm
not
motion
here
for
when
it to be on
those
Saturday?
started in
Yes.
elementary
Yes.
school.
True.
So
There's only
happy
so
to
much
know
going
that.
And the kids get really excited to receive those, just because it's, you know, again, from the roots.
All right.
You can, because I don't know how to ask it.
And the upcoming events are on the bottom of the.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, now I can ask about it.
On the bottom.
Okay, so I just want to bring up, is there a reason that Spring Carnival, or like, why was Friday chosen? Like, instead of doing it on like a weekend, where like the kids aren't at school all day, like tired, and then it's nighttime and it's cold, because is it outdoors or indoors?
It's gonna be
Spring
all out,
carnival.
this is gonna be spring, and it's gonna be all outdoor this year, that's why we moved it.
Because
to
May
spring.
2nd, it's still sometimes cold.
Yeah.
Well, we used to do Harvest Fest, and it would
That's
be
always
cold
cold,
too on
so
a
it's-
Friday night,
Right.
Yeah.
so.
So if we plan on renting stuff, how is that gonna work with setting stuff up if kids are in school?
Well, it'd be all
So they
outside.
they
Yeah.
come, they can come, so I've done Harvest Fest for years, they come during school
Outside, yeah.
and they set up,
But
yeah,
we
they
just
set
cancel
up.
recess for that
We would
afternoon,
cancel,
or whatever
yeah.
it is.
And
The
it
teachers are
works.
super flexible, knowing that that evening is going to be a huge event for families.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out if Friday would be a more popular day, or if maybe like a Saturday afternoon.
I know
Because-
for, as a staff if we're gonna need some staff help, as a staff member, as a mom, Saturday, I wanna be at home with just my family on Saturday, I don't wanna, but maybe we've already kinda set it for this year, so I don't know about this year, maybe we should keep the day that we already, right, what do you think? We've already set the day, yeah, what do you think?
I mean, for teachers, they're here, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I-
get much more
I
staff
agree
to
with
stay
that.
after school
I
at
don't-
4
I don't
o'clock
know
instead of
Friday.
saying, hey, you
I
live in
don't
Romeo.
know.
come
You
back."
see it up with these kids.
Yeah.
I don't want
If I have to, but.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
Would there be a?
And they're great help, they
Yeah.
want Mrs. Gray, Mrs. Lake.
No, I get the Friday, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a rain day.
Okay. Alright.
I told you that was gonna be the response.
So, a motion to adjourn
I move
the
to
meeting
adjourn.
at 7:38.